uproar. The confetti's falling and you're there celebrating with your guys and all the work and everything put into it. And that was such a learning experience just with the 16 games we played, stretched out the season, managing your guys, managing a roster. So that was outstanding. You get home, you take a breath, and then you keep your kids on the team. The transfer portal, the college free agency, your head's on a swivel all the time. And then right on the road recruiting. So the celebration of that was not until the off week or the dead week. And then between getting a call from a bunch of people and then JG ultimately and doing that was an influx of like juice, exciting, nervous, more excitement, telling my kids, telling my family what we're getting a chance to do. And then it really came to a head last week when I walked in the building the first time, just kind of walking in and getting to dive back into football and start watching tape and stuff, but just a range of emotions that there's no textbook or no coaching manual of like, all right, you won a national championship, here's how you're supposed to feel, how you're supposed to react. I mean, my body we made that field goal and my arms just kind of lifted like, we did it, unscripted, unbeknownst to what's going to happen. And then ultimately, like I said, when JG giving a call and talking with him and Drew and some of the guys, more on a personal standpoint too, it was like another new exciting challenge to get to go do. So it's been a ton of fun, ton of football. Obviously less recruiting calls and less no cards to write and more ball. So it's been a lot of fun. When you press play and you watch, you want the physicality and the violence to be like palpable. That's if you look at any great offensive line, you look at championship teams and what people have done, it all starts and ends up front. The beauty of football is, I say this all the time, is it's still, no matter the scheme, the tempo, the new rules, the new penalties or lack thereof, it's blocking and tackling. And so if you block them, then they can't tackle you. They can't sack the quarterback and they can't get to the ball carrier. And you have to do that with violence. There's no other way to do that. And so a physicality and a violence, like I said, that's a palpable, tangible thing. You want to see that on tape, and then when they leave the field, after walking off the 53 and a third, no matter who you played, they know they played you. I think the first time I talked to JG, in the football business, just whether it's whatever level you're at, there's communication and you get a sense and a feel for people. And I think I latched on to what he's about as a man, as a figurehead of the organization, and ultimately running the football program. That really jumped out. And having a chance to talk to Drew, and I talked to Izzy and some of the guys before in our passing. But just that latch where you can come in and the train's already moving, so to be able to hop on and get going and keep going with them, there was a real comfort there with that. And then ultimately, like I said, in the organization, we got, I talk to Paris all the time, Jon Gaines, I coach Jon Gaines, Marv being around, so getting a good feel for what the real inner workings were, knowing that fit, it was a square peg in a square hole, not vice versa. So that was the excitement of that, really. He's become really like self-sufficient. Like we talked about those things, you could tell, talking with him throughout the weeks of the year. And coach, did you watch this? Hey, check this out. Look at this technique I was using, or some of those things. More of a feed me mindset as a young player to now he's feeding himself, And so I'm excited just to see the jump for him. Really, it'd be year 3, but year 1 to 2 from being back on the left side. Because when I took him, he went from guard to tackle, and it was a whole, it's an old song, a whole new world. My daughter watches all those kid movies and stuff. That was a new movie for him, and he adapted well. Obviously, ended up here, and I think the growth for him, like I said, from year 1 to 2 of being a left tackle, and then going into next year, he's going to be very self-sufficient and continue to grow and expand his game himself. And I think with Kyler, I will say this. My entire career, whether being a player or a coach, there were 3 people my entire career were on the sidelines. I got up and made sure I went and watched, and I played when Joe Thomas was playing. So when we played against Wisconsin, we'd get done and coach was talking about the next series, and then, hey, let me get up and go watch this guy. Did that in coaching. Lamar, I coached against Lamar when I was at Boston College. And so same deal, you get that, watch that, and then when I was at UCLA, we played against Skyler, and so that was another guy too. So excited finally that I'm not having to get up to hurry to watch him, but can hear the play call and watch him go execute. Like I said, it starts with JG. Like when you walk in a building and you talk to people, there's alignment. Whether you're at the one end of the hall talking to him, or you go all the way down the other end of the hall and you talk to Monty, like there's alignment there, I guess would be the biggest word. There's a vision, and the execution and the efficiency and all the things that we're doing, it's impressive. it's at the highest level, and it has to be because it's pro football. And so that's exciting to me, just to, like I said, I have to come in and supplement the building. I'm not coming in to change things, but also get a chance to learn, because I'm not going to steer away from that. Like, I'm a rookie, right? I've coached football, I've been around football a long time, but not at this level. So being able to add where I can, learn and get going, and making sure that I'm keeping pace on other things, but then ultimately learning big picture stuff of how things are run, and that comes back to the people. And like I said, you walk down the hall and walk past any coach's office or administration or scouting or whatever it is, like, we got really good people in this building right now. And so that there's not, you look at the flip away, you haven't seen championship organizations or teams where you'd walk down a hall and cross paths with people like, man, that guy's an asshole, or this guy doesn't do it the right way. I think that's a critical part of it, and we have that here. The different style of dead period. I mean, we're in a dead period now where I can't really work with the guys. I've had good conversations with the majority of the guys on the phone, just introductory stuff, talking that way. Once we get into phase 1 and phase 2 and the OTAs, I think we'll be able to that'll be a more sense of it. But everything I've gotten from talking to the guys, like, Clayton did an unbelievable job. Like I said, it starts from the top down with JG, like building the roster the right way, because when it is crunch time or where there is some adversity that hits, so fight or flight, and if you've got a bunch of guys around you that you're seeing the same thing and saying the same thing and speaking the same language, and culture and everything is real, then you come out of that. And so I'm excited to kind of get around and really work with the guys. Obviously, you just can't do that right now because, like I said, I'm learning dead period in college football is a little different than dead period in pro football. So the adjustment of that, but that'll be something that will continue to grow, and I'll get a good feel for. But based off the building and the day-to-day working that I've gotten with the offensive staff and the defensive staff and the Monty and his crew, it's here, and that's exciting.